Here's Ted Henley.
Hey, good day. About -15, -16 at the airport at 7:35. Good morning, everyone. Premier Jim Prentice says he's cautiously optimistic the Keystone XL pipeline bill will pass through the U.S. House of Representatives today. Now, the vote originally was set for yesterday, but it was delayed until today by a procedural wrangle. The pipeline, if approved, will take Alberta oil sands bitumen to refineries in Texas. Prentice says the 3,400-kilometer line is in the best interests of Alberta and our country. South of the border, a similar sentiment from the Republican House Speaker.
This is a vote to lower energy costs and create more American jobs. Now, listen, finding common ground is not going to be easy. But for the sake of American workers, I hope that the President will sign this bipartisan bill without delay.
Keystone, of course, is a flashpoint for environmentalists when it comes to climate change in the United States. Some experts say President Obama is hinting right now he may veto the bill, making it a big part of his legacy. Should Calgary City Council grow, or should councillors work differently? That's the big issue up for debate at a special council meeting today. Mayor Naheed Nenshi won't be there because of a previous engagement, but the mayor does not think there's a need to increase the number of council members. Calgary's had 14 wards since 1976. Back then, our population was 470,000. Nearly 1.2 million people call Calgary home now, and the number of wards has not changed.
I don't think we need to increase the number of councillors. I do think we need to rethink their job a little bit and make sure they have the resources they need in order to do that job.
A report recommends against adding more wards for now. Instead, the study is suggesting that more staff should be hired, more support staff, and transferring some responsibilities from city councillors to city administration. All of those options will be looked at today. The city is overhauling its snow removal strategy in hopes of keeping residential streets passable if we get walloped again this year. Last December, you may recall, a bunch of back-to-back-to-back winter storms crippled part of the city, leaving some Calgarians trapped in their homes. This winter, the city can declare an extreme snow event. That will trigger the Calgary Emergency Management Agency to help by coordinating snow removal efforts and by bringing in extra contractors. Last December, more than 30 centimeters of snow fell in the first 2 weeks of the month. The pattern of snowfall last December kept road crews focused on priority 1 and 2 routes, leaving residential roads an absolute mess.
After this happened a few times, what we realized is we had significant snowfall in our residential areas that remained untouched. What our plan does is it allows us to recognize when this is happening by having more people, more eyes on the street. And once we are not able to get into our day 3 or day 4, what we do is we actually can call in more contracted services.
City is also updating its website now to include a countdown clock, letting people know where road crews are in their 7-day snow removal strategy. Also this year, there will be no more snow route parking ban warnings when a snow event is declared. Owners of vehicles left parked along snow routes will be ticketed right away this year. 7:38, time to focus on business. OPEC may be changing its tune now. Business editor Mike Eppel joining us this morning. Mike, OPEC may be forced into a production cut.
Yeah, because the price for oil yesterday dropped to below the $74 per barrel threshold, Ted, and the Department of Energy in the U.S. said daily output out of the American producers now is north of 9 million barrels of crude per day, and that's the highest since the early 80s. So the International Energy Agency saying, look, the market right now is oversupplied. So OPEC, when the cartel gathers in Vienna November 27th, do they cut production? Are they forced to at these levels? What's the break-even point for production and the cost of input and getting oil out of the ground? So that's something to watch. It's going to be volatile in energy trade for the next couple of weeks, you have to figure. Now, you were talking about the Keystone XL pipeline, which is going to go through the U.S. House of Representatives today and then on to the Senate, and the ongoing effort to pass that project. It's been going on for 6 years now, and an interesting report out of a local Calgary-based company about where Canadian producers have basically not been waiting for Keystone to get built. They've found other ways to get oil from the oil sands to the Gulf Coast refineries, and that number is going to grow substantially over the course of the next year. So you have to wonder about the overall viability of Keystone and the costs going into that as well. So Canadian producers are finding new ways to get their oil to the U.S. market. Price for gas is coming down again, and that's certainly a benefit for consumers, and the U.S. numbers on retail spending this morning bearing that out. Spending on big things like cars and trucks and anything that's not necessarily as fuel efficient as it needed to be before, and retail spending is on the rise. And the cold weather, it may affect us at the grocery store because we're watching things like wheat and soybeans. The prices for these commodities rise. Winter wheat prices specifically going up because they're worried about a frost, and that may damage the crop for next year. This year's crop was a record, but the market's always looking forward to the months ahead. And if we see the price for wheat go up, bread could be following shortly thereafter. Ted, have a good weekend.
You too, my friend. Good to hear from you this morning, Mike. Mike Epple, our business editor, speaking to us right there. You can hear Mike, by the way, on 660 News at 26 and 56 after the hour.